In this video, we're going to be talking about the different types of sheep and some of the breeds that you might consider when looking for sheep to bring onto your homestead. You rubbing on my knee. So after you've made the decision that sheep are probably going to be a good fit for your homestead, the next thing you start thinking about is what kind of sheep. There are two main categories under which all sheep fit, and then from there, those two categories, there are over 200 different breeds from which to select, so there are a lot of options out there. The two main categories are wool sheep and hair sheep. The majority of sheep are wool sheep, and that's what most people think of when they think of sheep. They think of animals with huge fleeces of wool that get sheared and get spun in a yarn. Annabelle here is half wool sheep. She is half East Frisian, half Katahdin, so she does have some hair sheep genetics in her as well. But as you can see, she is fairly woolly still. I can sink my hand down in here a good few inches before I get to her hide. There are advantages to wool sheep. One is their wool, obviously. You're going to have a wool yield. Depending on their scale, some shepherds are really successful with direct marketing wool to local buyers or even through internet sales and make a decent income from that. The disadvantage to the wool sheep though is you do have to shear them whether you want a wool harvest or not. If you're not interested in fiber and having that product to sell, you're still going to have to shear them. A second potential disadvantage to the wool breeds are their meat has a little bit more of what people usually refer to as a gamey flavor. When people don't like lamb, it's usually because they say it tastes a little bit too gamey for them. That lamb flavor comes from an oil produced called lanolin. Lanolin is the oil that gives wool all its really awesome properties. That lanolin also is in what you're eating from the lamb, so it has that stronger flavor to it. That brings us to hair sheep. Miss Connie here is a Katahdin, which is a hair sheep breed. Being a hair sheep, Connie does not require a shearing because she sheds her own wool. We're in late spring currently in North Idaho. It's getting warm, and just like a dog sheds its winter coat, these hair sheep will shed their winter wool. The disadvantage with this is they don't have a good quality wool that you're going to be able to shear and have a yield with. But the advantage to this is you don't have to shear. So if wool is not your thing, if you're not interested in selling fiber or making your own yarn from your wool, hey, hair sheep are really the way to go because you don't have to concern yourself with finding someone to do a professional shearing. Also, they don't produce nearly as much lanolin as wool sheep because they don't have, again, all that wool production going on. So their flavor is therefore much milder. You get a lot less of that lammy flavor that sometimes people are an objection to. Though I do have some really awesome ewes in here that are not full hair sheep, full Katahdins, like Annabelle here. Again, she's half East Frisian, which is a milk and wool sheep. The majority of my sheep are Katahdins though. Katahdins I felt were the right breed for me and my homestead because I wanted to have a business component to our homestead where we sold some of our meat. So I knew for customers that it would be easier for them to enjoy the meat, especially customers who have never tried lamb before. It'd be easier conversions if they are trying a milder lamb. You still get that really nice lamb flavor, that flavor that's kind of absent from beef, but it's not overpowering. Also, I'm not concerned with the wool yield, so I've eliminated my shearing by getting the Katahdin breed. Katahdins are also well known for having a really high parasite resistance. If managed properly using a rotational grazing program and using some natural preventative practices, then the sheep are very, very low maintenance as far as requiring intervention for parasite management. And if you're just getting started with sheep on your homestead, you definitely want to go as easy as possible. There are other breeds that are much more susceptible to parasites, which means it's going to be more work for you to monitor that and administer treatments to keep them alive. Katahdins are also known for being easygoing, easy to work with, excellent for beginners, and the breed is also recognized, generally speaking, to have really good mothers. The mothering instinct of the Katahdin is really well developed. They often just lamb out in pasture without any assistance. For those reasons, I decided to go with Katahdins for our primary homestead breed of sheep, and it has worked out great. I've really enjoyed having these Katahdins. They've been a fantastic fit for our homestead. They've definitely lived up to all the claims that have been made about them. Clover here is a first-time mom, and she's doing a fantastic job with her lambs. Isn't that right? Mommy's doing a good job? No comment? Now that we've gone over the difference between wool sheep and hair sheep and looked at the Katahdin breed, which was our pick for our homestead, we're going to talk to a few other shepherds and ask them about the breeds that they're raising. First, we're going to talk to Tess, who is primarily raising Katahdin. That's where I got my stock from, but she's also doing a breeding program with the Dorpers that she's going to talk to you about.